A majority of House Democrats are now on record publicly supporting an impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump. Today, Congressman Salud Carbajal of California said that he would support an impeachment inquiry, putting the tally at 118 Democrats and 1 independent, former Republican Justin Amash. With a majority of the 235 House Democrats now ready to move forward, will Speaker Nancy Pelosi face increased pressure despite her reluctance to call for impeachment? Nancy Pelosi released a statement today saying, quote, "In America, no one is above the law. The president will be held accountable." For months, Speaker Pelosi has warned against advancing impeachment and that Democrats should focus their attention on the ongoing congressional investigations and legal battles. But today, freshman Congressman Tom Malinowski said this about the congressional investigations.
As far as I'm concerned, an impeachment inquiry has already begun. The Judiciary Committee has made clear that they are seeking documents and witnesses for the purpose of conducting an impeachment inquiry. So that's what I called for and many others called for a while ago, and it's happening.
Joining us is the man who put the Democrats over the halfway mark. Joining us is Democratic Congressman Salud Carbajal from California. He is now the 118th Democrat in favor of an impeachment inquiry. Congressman, good to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Good to be here, Ali.
What made you make the decision? Because you had to know, other than others who have made the decision before you, that this would be influential by becoming half of the Democratic caucus. What brought you to this point?
Well, for me, it was the consideration of many factors. First, clearly the Mueller report, then to actually hear the testimony, but to see time and time again the fact that this president and this administration have ignored all the subpoenas put forth by Congress, I think is ultimately what did it, along with many conversations that I've had with constituents in the district.
Nancy Pelosi has been reluctant, obviously, to go down this road. Have you spoken to her? Has she had any particular reaction to your decision?
Certainly, I spoke to her about a week ago, actually a couple of weeks ago, and let her know that I was mulling this decision over. And certainly, Speaker Pelosi has a number of considerations in making her decision, whether at some point we move forward with an impeachment inquiry. For myself, I think I reached that threshold based on all the considerations that I mentioned earlier. We saw too many instances where this president either directed or attempted to obstruct justice. And I think it's important that we get all the facts around those incidences so that the American people could see what really went on.
Your constituents elect you to make decisions on their behalf, and you are obviously moving ahead with your conscience. Are considerations about what kind of pressure this puts on the party or your caucus or Nancy Pelosi, is that relevant to you? Do you feel that by doing this puts pressure on Nancy Pelosi, or do you think that it advantages her to have a number of Democrats saying that they are prepared to move forward with an impeachment inquiry? Her words last Friday was that it gives her some leverage.
I think all of the above, Ali. But I think that for myself, what drives my decision, it's all about my constituents, first and foremost. Secondly, it's other considerations. But I look at what's in the best interest of my district and my constituents. And for me, this is the decision that I've reached.
So one of the concerns that Nancy Pelosi has, and others have, is that this harkens back to the impeachment of Bill Clinton, which didn't bode well for Republicans in the next cycle. In fact, Julian Castro talked about it during the debate. Let's listen.
I think that too many folks in the Senate and in the Congress have been spooked by 1998. I believe that the times are different. And in fact, I think that folks are making a mistake by not pursuing impeachment. The Mueller report clearly details that he deserves it. And what's going to happen in the fall of next year, of 2020, if they don't impeach him, is he's going to say, you see, the Democrats didn't go after me on impeachment. And you know why? Because I didn't do anything wrong. These folks that always investigate me, they're always trying to go after me. When it came down to it, they didn't go after me there because I didn't do anything wrong.
What do you think about that? What do you think about the fact that some people fear doing it because many people, including your constituents, some of them may not think that's their priority? So many Americans are sort of struggling to prosper in this economy. And there are some people who say, I don't want my members of Congress wasting time on this. I want them dealing with things that get me jobs and increase my income. How do you balance that?
Well, first, it's apples and oranges. The impeachment that was pursued for Clinton from the impeachment inquiry that would ensue for Mr. Trump. Clearly, we have real clear cases of obstruction, of communication with the Russians to try to impact our elections. This is apples and oranges. But let me tell you, I think as Democrats, we could pursue an impeachment inquiry and still focus on the bread and butter issues that the American people and the residents of my district want us to focus on. Infrastructure, lowering health and prescription costs, addressing the minimum wage, raising minimum wage and job opportunities for everyone, and addressing climate change. We can chew gum and walk at the same time. And I think the American people will come to appreciate even more the fact that we are pursuing what's in the best interest of our democracy and putting our nation first before party and politics.
There are several congressional investigations going on into Donald Trump that are meaning to pick up where the Mueller investigation left off or to do other things. How, in your mind, do you distinguish between those that are going on that Speaker Pelosi talks about all the time and encourages support of versus an impeachment inquiry? If your constituents asked you what's the difference, what would you say?
Well, I think we've seen that those investigations have been thwarted by subpoenas not being adhered to, not being responded to. And clearly, once we would embark on an impeachment inquiry, it adds a totally different complexion to this investigation. And it would bring all the investigations into one focus. And I think that's what the American people want and need to be able to understand what really transpired here.
Congressman, good to see you. Thank you for joining me tonight. Congressman Salud Carbajal of Santa Barbara. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.